John participates in sports because of his love of competing. He is not necessarily talented in any of his sports. They serve as a social outlet, a stress reliever, and they keep him healthy overall. John's GPA has remained high during his time in high school, around 3.5 to 4.0. He is enrolled in college credit classes as well. This bar graph shows how all components of brain function are elevated after exercise.
High school and as a teen, I think it goes for a lot of high schools and teens that the most impact that they have in high school is their extracurricular activities. The education in high school is obviously important and it's there, but I think, social development is the most important thing in high school, and you get that from whether it be that you're on the cross-country team or the football team or the debate team, or you're just involved, student council, student government, you're just involved in things beyond the classroom that I think helps you socially. It helps you keep a schedule, and I think it just makes you well-rounded in your education. We talk about that here at North Dakota State, that we try to, in the athletic department, we try to deliver education through athletics. It's just another way of a student athlete here to receive an education, that they learn things in athletics that they can't learn in a biology classroom. And I think that goes beyond just athletics into all extracurricular activities, because it's a little bit more of a real life experience for students. The thing about injuries is I think they've always happened. Now I think there's just more focus on them, more research on them. It's just one of those things that I think, to me, injuries throughout one's life are going to happen, whether they're climbing trees, riding their bike, playing basketball, or playing soccer. Injuries are part of physical activity. They're part of physical fitness. I mean, you can get injured going for a run. I think that the injuries are always there. They're never going to go away. I know that it can definitely impact participation numbers right now in sports like hockey and football and wrestling, where there might be a little bit more of the head trauma. But even in those sports with head injuries, I think head injuries have always been there. And I think that those sports now are actually safer than they ever have been, because we know more about those head injuries now, and we're doing more to prevent those head injuries. So, back 20, 30 years ago, I think those head injuries were still happening, but they weren't being recognized. And I think they were happening at just as high of a volume as they're happening now.
Each day, Jamie goes home at 3:15 like clockwork and plays video games. Consequently, she has developed unhealthy habits. However, it wasn't always like this. After quitting soccer, Jamie has been locked in the confines of her own basement, playing video games and eating junk food. As a result, she has taken a hit. Socially, physically and mentally, as well as academically. Once a 4.0 student, Jamie now finds herself struggling to stay on top of her studies. According to a survey our team conducted, 67% of the 43 members that took the survey believe that participating in sports impacts them positively. Children who participate in sports during their childhood have lower rates of diabetes, have higher self-esteem, and experience high rates of success in their lives. The mind is similarly impacted. As a result of exercise, the brain is lit up with activity. According to the scan, a brain at rest experiences a dip in neural resources devoted to focus. However, the same brain after a brief period of exercise indicates heightened attention and quicker information processing.
In order for you to keep eligible, you have to keep your grades up and you have to keep your schoolwork, so you got to manage both. So it actually should help you, and most of the time more kids are eligible during the time that they're in a sport than if they're not in a sport.
Well, I think youth sports can serve, can benefit a kid's life in many different aspects. And I think the first one that you look at that a lot of people forget about is socially. Sports are a great way for kids to get out and socialize with kids that are their own age and work together as a team, build friendships, learn how to communicate, learn how to take direction from adults, learn about how to have a schedule. You've got practice at 4 o'clock on Mondays. You got to be there. You got to be there on time. Playing youth sports, I ended up, I played football in college and a little bit professionally after, but as a youth, my parents put me in every sport. So I played, I started, my dad wouldn't let me play t-ball because he told me that if I can't hit it off a tee, I won't be able to hit it when it's moving. But I played golf, softball, soccer, softball transitioned into baseball. I started playing tackle football as a fourth grader. Now that it's probably a little bit early as research advances on head trauma and when kids are ready for that type of physical sport. Basketball. I mean, my parents did a great job of kind of putting us into every sport, and I think that that's something that today's youth is kind of getting away from. It seems like kids play one sport, and they stick in that sport. And from an athletic standpoint, I think that playing multiple sports makes you a better athlete.
Sports have several benefits that outweigh any drawbacks. The athletes have better grades, a higher motivation to get things done, and although they have a chance for injury, many feel happy and more sociable as they socialize with others frequently.
Sports, it's something that you need to help to develop a whole person and not just singly. You can meet friends, you can develop friendships, and you can also develop connections later in life.